What is going on, YouTube? In today's video, I will be going over the balance post from Marvel Rivals themselves for Season 1.5 that just came out. And today, we'll be answering the question of which heroes you need to play this season in Marvel Rivals. And I'll be going over all the updates for the Vanguards, Duelists, Strategists, and the team-up abilities. If you head on over to News and you hit balance post right here, this is the latest one, Season 1.5, that just came out. So we're going to be starting off with the Vanguards. So the first one is Captain America. He got a lot of changes. So one of the biggest ones is that he will be able to shield himself with the Living Legend mid-leap. So this one's really good because he can obviously use his shield now as he's jumping really high. And I mean, this is great. I mean, this will be able to help you survive for longer, even though Captain America can just survive forever because he runs so fast. And also, there's an increased vibranium energy saw's projectile speed from 60 millimeters per second to 80, with the ricochets ramping up to 100 millimeters to a supercharged 150 millimeters per second. So basically, his when he throws a shield, it's faster. You do get your ultimate faster now. I don't really think that needed a buff, but they added it anyway. And then this last one, enhance Captain America's combat experience by separating Sentinel Strike from melee attacks. Captain America will be able to use melee attacks while his shield is thrown, or during the team-up ability state to activate the first 2 hits of Sentinel Strike. Additionally, while airborne, using melee attacks will no longer trigger the Super Soldier Slam ability. So if you read that and you think it's pretty confusing, basically what it says is that you can now use melee attacks in the air and you do not have to accidentally force yourself to use the slam ability anymore. That's what I really want to do for this video as well, is just kind of break down a lot of the confusing things here and just simplify it for you guys so you can understand exactly what it does. I went in and play tested Captain America to kind of see exactly what he does. I've heard that some people say you can change your keybinds from the Super Soldier Slam ability to a different one now. That is not true. I cannot do that myself. So basically, you can just hit your melee button while in the air, and you don't trigger the Super Soldier Slam anymore. Captain America has gotten a huge buff, and let's move on to the next one, who is Doctor Strange. His is very simple. He had a nerf. Basically, his health is reduced from 650 to 600. I do think that this is needed. His shield is plenty enough to keep him from dying. Groot, he got a buff. So basically, they are increasing his thorn/wall placement range from 15 meters to 18 meters. Now, there have been other reports of him changing, when he throws his seed thing and it throws a bunch of seed bombs everywhere. That had a buff. I do not see that in the official Marvel Rivals website, and there's some few things that I'll talk about later in the video that are in some other, websites if you look up the patch notes that I don't see here in the official ones. So I can't really say whether that's true or not. Next up, we have Magneto. This guy basically got a buff and a nerf. They increased his Iron Volley projectile damage from 35 to 40. But his metallic curtain's energy consumption from 50 per second to 65, and they reduced its maximum duration from 2 seconds to 1.5. So I don't really play Magneto at all, but I did play test this. I can't really say whether this is going to be a huge change or not, but when I was playtesting him, the shield is very, very fast. This is basically just going to require Magneto players to have a little bit more strategy in when they use their shield. Because like I said, it does feel like it goes away very, very quickly. But again, he did get that slight increase in damage, so he kind of got a buff and a nerf. Next up, we have Thor. This one's really cool. They removed the shared cooldown time after the duration of the Awakening Rune. Of the Awakening Rune. So this is a buff. It doesn't buff any damage or anything, any shield or health. Basically, there's no more cooldown after you use that thing, so you can go right back to smacking people with your hammer as soon as that one's over. Okay, and then last on our list of Vanguards, this one is Venom. This guy will be crazy. A lot of people will probably play him this season. They adjusted the knockback effect of the Frenzied Arrival from vertical to inward with an inward knockback angle of 75 degrees. They reduced the energy cost of Feast of Abyss, his ultimate, so he's going to get that faster. Basically, when he dives, it's just going to throw players back more, and he gets his ultimate quicker. I honestly didn't really think that's needed. I think Venom is a great Vanguard as a dive Vanguard, and he's really good. This is just going to make him even better, and we'll get into later in this video of the team-up's ability to where those were increased like crazy for Spider-Man and Penny. So that's another thing that makes him just really dangerous this season. A lot of people will be playing him. Okay, that's it for the Vanguards. Now let's get into the Duelists. The first one is Black Widow, and Marvel Rivals is trying their best to make her a mainstream hero that people play. I've come across a few Black Widows that are really, really good, but most of the time people just do not play this character, unfortunately. But maybe they will after these enhancements. So she got a major buff. They increased the magazine capacity of the Red Room rifle from 8 to 15. That's a pretty significant chunk. So she doesn't have to, you don't have to wait forever to reload now. You know, you got 7 extra shots there. They enhanced the slow effect of the Electroplasma Explosion, which is her ultimate, on enemies from 80% to 55%. That's a pretty big decrease on their speed. Additionally, it will apply a 15% vulnerability effect to hit enemies for 4 seconds. That is pretty huge as well, because if you have enemies stuck in her area where she used her ultimate and they're really slow, just have all your DPS and Vanguards just go pound on everyone in there, because for 4 seconds they will take 15% more damage. So that is really, really good. Again, they're trying their best to buff her as much as they can with what she has to offer. So maybe we'll see more Black Widows this season. Okay, next is going to be Hawkeye. He got a buff and a nerf question mark. I put that in there because I'm not really sure if you can count this as a nerf. This is the most confusing one, because initially in Season 0, Hawkeye was super OP. Then they had a hard nerf on him this season, but he's still crazy. And then now they're buffing him like crazy. So they increase his base health from 250 to 275. Not needed at all. I have a hard enough time killing Hawkeyes myself, because most people that play Hawkeye are really good, and then they have one of their healers just pocket them the whole time, so it's really hard to kill them. This is the quote-unquote nerf that they did. They reduced the projectile damage of blast air from 20 to 15. Really not too crazy there. They also reduced the cooldown time for Crescent Slash from 15 seconds to 12 seconds. Again, that's not really a huge difference. You don't really use the Crescent Slash for that long. Or I guess, you know, when an enemy's facing you, you pretty much only use it one time. So the 12 seconds, I don't think will change that. 12-second battles are pretty long. This is the crazy one too. So for his ultimate, they increased the bow draw speed during the duration of Hunter's Sight and raised damage multiplier from 1.2 to 1.35. I have no idea why they did this. It's not needed at all. I was playing yesterday, the first day of the season, and I came across 2 Hawkeyes, one game after the other. They were insane. So they're really, I'm scared there's just going to be a ton of Hawkeyes popping up now in all my games that have just insane aim, and it's just not fun at all. If you guys have any tips and tricks to counter Hawkeye, let me know down in the comments below. Okay, next up on our list is Hela. She just got a buff. The damage fall off of Night Sword Thorn at 30 meters will be changed from 70% to 80%. Okay, Hela's is pretty easy. And then Iron Fist. This guy got a lot of tweaks. I'm honestly not too happy about them either. Iron Fist is one of the characters that I really struggle defending against. Again, if you guys have tips on how to counter an Iron Fist, let me know down in the comments below. Maybe I'll just need to actually play him. I played him in like 1 game and I was horrible, but you know, it probably takes about 2 to 3 games for you to actually pick up on a character. So they reduced the damage of the Jeet Kune Do's first, second, and fifth strikes from 32 to 30, while the third and fourth strikes will deal 15 damage instead of 16. The final devastating 6th strike has been dialed back from 55 to 50. The cooldown reduction for Dragon's defense has been extended from 1 second to 1.5. The damage of each hit from Yat Ji Chung Quen will take a hit, dropping from 19 to 10 flat damage, including during Living Chi. However, each strike from the Yat Ji Chung Quen, if that's how it's pronounced, now delivers an extra blow, dealing damage equal to 1.7% of the maximum health, including during Living Chi as well. That's a lot of information, a lot of words. It's kind of very confusing. Basically, like, his overall damage has been decreased, and then we'll get into his health right now. increasing the additional maximum health granted by Harmony Recovery from 50 to 150. A new decay mechanism for the extra health has also been introduced. 1 second after the ability ends, the additional health will deplete at a rate of 25 health per second. They increase the maximum bonus health converted from damage block during Dragon's defense from 150 to 200. They increase the base health from 250 to 300. So basically, like I said, his damage was slightly nerfed, and then his health was increased overall, like I said, from the 250 to 300, but also like he's going to get more shield and stuff, which in my opinion was not needed at all. I have a hard enough time getting rid of his shield in the first place, and so that is not good, at least for me in my opinion. But Iron Fist players will be pretty excited for this change. This next one is Iron Man. They gave him a crazy buff. They increased his unibeam damage from 120 per second to 140. He is going to deplete the health of a 250 Kiro in 3 seconds. And they increased the unibeam armor overdrive version damage from 180 to 190. So that I didn't really feel like this was needed either, but you know, they're doing it anyway. They'll see if it gets possibly nerfed. And Iron Man's going to be pretty dangerous this season as well. So we need to focus him if you're playing, and there's a really good Iron Man on the enemy team. They're probably going to get a ton of kills with the Unibeam. Now, they did nerf his team-up ability with Hulk, but we'll get into that later. Next up for the Duelist is Magic. All right, next up we have Magic. She basically got a buff, slightly, but mostly just a nerf. They decrease the damage dealt by Demon's Rage from 80 per second to 72. Again, it's not too bad. They reduce the energy cost of Dark Child, which is her ultimate ability, so she'll get that sooner. Magic players are pretty scary as well. There's some really good Magic players out there. I don't really play Magic myself. I would like to get to learn this character, and I think Magic players will mostly be happy with what they got for this back half of the season. Okay, Mr. Fantastic. This one is a pretty interesting buff and a nerf. So they increase the spell field radius after landing from flexible elongation from 2.5 meters to 5 meters. Additionally, flexible elongation will now feature a knockback effect. Launching enemies outward within the area upon landing, the recharge time for a single use of flexible elongation will be adjusted from 8 seconds to 10 seconds. And they increase the damage of Brainiac Bounce, his ultimate, from 50 to 70. They increase the energy cost from 2,800 to 3,400. Additionally, a new damage decay mechanism has been introduced. Spellfield damage will begin to decrease starting at 3 meters and will reach a maximum reduction of 50 at 10 meters. So again, what does all that mean? Basically, his elongated stretch ability, which if you play on PC, it's your E. They basically doubled the max distance that you need to be in order to use this one. So you can be farther away from your teammates and be able to use this ability again to give them that shield and also do the knockbacks on the enemies. So that is really good. They didn't like increase any of his damage, at least for his main attacks. You won't get his ultimate as fast, but they increased the damage from 50 to 70. So that's 20 of a difference. And then basically you just have to be more accurate in your bounces, because the further you are away from him, the less damage you'll be, and it's a maximum reduction of 50 at 10. If you're 10 meters away, you'll only do 20 damage to an enemy. So you need to be really spot on where you land your Brainiac bounces now, which again I think that this overall is a really good change for Mr. Fantastic. I don't think he's insanely busted. I've come across a lot of really good Mr. Fantastics, and he's really fun, in my opinion, to play as well. So I'm excited for this change. Okay, Moon Knight. He got a nerf overall. Praise the Lord. They reduced the hand of Khonshu Talon's falling speed, so it's basically going to give you more time to react to his overpowered ultimate that he gets every 5 seconds. And they correct the damage trigger lock for Hand of Khonshu. The previous mechanism that dealt 75 damage when positioned at the center of the spell field has been removed, increasing the damage of each hit from 75 to 150. I've heard rumors and have not seen this myself, but there's basically a spot now inside of the Hand of Khonshu, like his ultimate, that you can basically avoid all damage. I don't know exactly where it is. We'll have to test it out in our games. Again, I think this was really needed because in my opinion, the Moon Knight ult was just overpowered. I know a lot of people share that opinion as well. He did, though, get a buff in his team-up ability, which we'll get to at the end. Okay, Scarlet Witch. Basically, she has a slight buff She gains an additional 100 bonus health upon activating Reality Eraser, which is her ultimate. After the ability ends or is interrupted, this bonus health will decay at a rate of 50 seconds. So it's just going to be there basically for the time that she is about to use her ultimate. And then once her ultimate is over, it's basically going to be gone very, very fast. So not too much of a ginormous buff, but I think this was needed because it's really easy. You have before you mostly have to hide behind like walls or something before you use this, and it's hard to get pretty much the whole team. So that's going to be fun. And I really do like playing Scarlet Witch myself. I think she's really awesome and a good defense against dive characters that I've seen. Okay, Spider-Man. His is very short, but I think it's a really insane buff. I didn't think that he needed a buff at all. Spider-Man's one of the most annoying characters to play against, in my opinion, along with Iron Fist. They reduced the web cluster energized time from 3 seconds to 2.5. So basically, you know, you can just use your ranged attack a lot more now. I think that this is going to be a crazy change for Spider-Man players. They're going to be a lot more powerful now. Star-Lord, nothing crazy. They increase his rocket propulsion's maximum energy from 1200 to 1800, so he's just going to be able to get around for longer, travel more distance with that. Storm is an interesting one. They definitely gave her a nerf, which we'll get into in just a second. I don't think this was necessarily needed. She was pretty powerful, but I feel like she was very easy to take out as well. Let's just get into it. The damage fall off of Windblade at 30 meters will be changed from 70 to 60%. So she'll do less damage when she's farther away. They reduce Storm's damage increase from Thunder during weather control from 16% to 12%. However, the damage increase for allies within range has been increased from 8% to 10%. And they reduce Storm's damage increase from Enhanced Thunder during weather control from 30% to 25%. So basically, it focuses more on making her teammates faster and her not as much. There's more decrease in damage from drop-off, damage nerfs altogether as well. People will probably not play Storm as much. Again, this was someone who was very much not played in Season 0, and then they gave her a buff in Season 1, and people did play her a lot. She was, I mean, she was really good. But now they're nerfing her again, and I don't think people are going to pick her up as much, but we will see. And that is all the duelists that we have, so let's get into the strategists now. They basically all got nerfed, if I could summarize it, except for Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock got a buff. They increased the damage of Quantum Magic from 55 to 60. Again, it's not too crazy. Additionally, the damage falloff at 40 meters will be changed from 50% to 60%. Basically, he got a damage buff overall, but at range it's going to be less. They increased the damage of Quantum Magic. Sorry, I just read that one. They increased the healing amount provided by Soul Bond linked to allies from 10 seconds to 15 seconds. So better healing after using Soul Bond. I think that more people will pick up Adam Warlock this season. He's not my favorite strategist, but he is pretty fun and pretty good. His ultimate's really good as well. Next is Cloak and Dagger, which is my personal favorite strategist. This one is also a buff and a nerf. So they increase the energy cost to activate Eternal Bond, which is the ability, so you won't get it as fast. And that's from 3,400 to 4,000. The healing amount of each segment will be increased from 220 seconds to 250, which is a buff. And the duration will be reduced from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. And the pause time between segments decreased from 1 second to 0.67 seconds. Now, the healing effect from each segment will not stack. And this is probably the most important change. When overlapping, only one healing effect is applied. Additionally, camera control is unlocked during the activation of Eternal Bond. Again, if you read that for the first time, it might be really confusing. This is basically what it says. The ult costs more, but increases healing from 220 to 250 per second. It lasts for a shorter amount of time, and that difference is 2 seconds from 10 to 8. But you do each dash faster. You can no longer stack the healing, so you need to basically cover more space rather than just going back and forth, which is what everyone did, because if you stacked your healing, you're basically invincible. All your teammates who are standing there, they won't allow that now. So you need to basically like go in a circle, cover as much area as possible for your teammates. And again, you move, the movement is better, and you move faster when you activate your ult. So that, I think it's a good change. And then they increased the vulnerability inflicted on enemies by Terror Cape, and this is when you're Cloak, from 20% to 28. So basically when you throw them and you blind them, they're vulnerable. They'll take 28% more damage now. And I think that that's I mean, for me, I like it. Other people might not if they don't like playing against a Cloak and Dagger. Also, the seasonal bonus that Cloak and Dagger had for healing is gone now. We'll see if she gets insta-banned from ranked like she was in the previous season. Because before it was Luna, and then it was Cloak and Dagger, so we'll see who it is this time. Maybe Adam Warlock with his buffs, but I'm not too sure. But overall, I think it's a good change. It's, you know, I don't think it's that much of a nerf, honestly. And I still feel like she's really powerful. And I do like switching to Cloak and being able to take out enemies as well. And he got a buff, so that's awesome. Okay, next up is Invisible Woman. They just nerfed her ultimate. It takes longer to get, so you're not using it as much. That's from 4,000. Loki, he got a buff and a nerf. They increased the energy cost of God of Mischief, his ultimate ability, from 34 to 4,000. And then they increased the mystical missile charges from 10 to 12. So basically he just has two more in his magazine for his attack. Pretty self-explanatory there. Luna as well, they just increased the cost to activate Fate of Both Worlds from 4,000 to 4,500. So her ultimate is by far the most expensive and will take the longest to get. In my opinion, she's not the best strategist because of this, and I much prefer Cloak and Dagger. Last but not least, let's get into the team up abilities. The first one is Atlas Bond. This one got a buff, and this is the one with Luna Snow and Iron Fist. So when you're Luna Snow, they increase the healing amount of your frozen chi from 50 to 75. And they increase the slow effect on enemies from 20% to 30%. So again, that's just a buff overall for Luna Snow. Next one is the Dimensional Shortcut. This as well got a buff. This is for Black Panther and Psylocke when there is a magic player. So they reduce the rewind time for Psionic Disc from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. Additionally, the conversion ratio of lost health to blue armor will be increased from 0.5 to 0.8. They reduce the rewind time for Wakandan Master, so Black Panther, from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. And the same thing for the conversion ratio of lost health to blue armor. Basically what that means is they are reducing the rewind time for Psylocke and Black Panther and more shield as well. And if I interpreted that wrong, let me know down in the comments below. You guys are amazing at correcting me. Okay, and then our next one is Gamma Charge. They reduce the Unibeam damage from 220 to 200. And then they reduce Hulk's Team Up Anchor health bonus from 150 to 200. So if you notice here, for Iron Man and his regular Unibeam attack, it was increased by 20. So his one that he gets with the Gamma Overdrive is decreased by 20. And so they're reducing that one because that one was insanely overpowered. But then they just give it to him in his normal. So he's still pretty broken. And then they basically just lowered Hulk's health, the additional health that he gets from the bonus by 50. This is probably going to be a pretty bad change for Hulk players. And then our next one is Lunar Force. This is for Moon Knight and his team-up ability with Cloak and Dagger. This is a brand new effect for that ability. When he uses it, it creates like a moon force field around him. And what it does now is continuously heals 25 health per second. And then our last team-up ability is the Symbiote Bond. This one is pretty interesting. It's sort of like a buff and a nerf, but I think it goes more into the buff side. They reduce Spider-Man's suit expulsion duration from 4 seconds to 1 second, so it's insanely fast. I did play test this. It is very, very fast. But the most important thing about this is that they replace the 50% damage reduction effect with new invincibility during that duration. So it's 1 second of invincibility for Spider-Man players. And then pretty much the same thing for Penny Parker. She has 2 seconds of the team up and then invincibility during those 2 seconds. Penny is another Vanguard that I struggle playing against, and sometimes Spider-Man if the enemy player is really good. In my opinion, it's more of a buff than a nerf. But the Spider-Man one, the 1 second is very fast. And that is pretty much everything, again, for the Vanguards, Duelists, Strategists, and the team-up abilities. Now, after going over all these, I'm going to give you guys my opinion on the heroes that you want to play most this season due to these effects. And let's start with the Vanguards. The first one is a Venom. So, I think that with him getting his ultimate faster, as well as his dive becoming more powerful, And then the team up ability that he gets with Spider-Man and Penny, he's probably going to be a really good Vanguard this season that if you haven't started playing him, you might want to. And if you do play him, you're going to be very happy with these adjustments. The next one is Captain America, which is one of my personal favorite Vanguards. He just keeps getting better and better after every season. So they gave him a buff at the beginning of season 1, and now an even more buff now. Next, for our duelists, the ones that you want to be playing are Iron Man. His Unibeam now is crazy, and Hawkeye as well, because of that insane buff that he got for no reason. Spider-Man, because I mean he's just good overall right now, but because his web clusters, you'll get them faster. That's going to be insane. And then Mr. Fantastic as well. You can argue that he's going to be one of the better ones this season. I personally like playing Mr. Fantastic. A lot of people don't, but I think with the changes, he's going to be a lot better. So hopefully we see him around more. But those are the 4 duelists that I think are going to be the best. And then for strategists, I still think that Cloak and Dagger is the best strategist. She did need this nerf, and maybe now in ranked she won't get banned as much. And then Adam Warlock as well will probably be one of the best strategists that you need to learn how to use this season with his increased damage. And his ultimate is really good. So if you can master his ultimate, getting really good at that one, he is a great strategist. So that will be everything for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down in the comment section which hero you want to play most this season based off of these changes, and just your thoughts overall on season 1.5. Are you liking Human Torch and the Thing? They weren't included in this at all because they're brand new heroes, but you know, we'll probably see some adjustments for them in season 2. And if you guys want to check out more of my other content, make sure to click the links above, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.